Good morning. Welcome to the next edition of Friday Forenoon with Entrepreneur. This is a series that we are starting from Propel, which is the incubator at BML Munjal University. We at this university and at our incubator encourage our students to take the path of entrepreneurship and, and go forward in it with full knowledge. Today we have invitees not only from different parts of the country, but we also have attendees who have come from places outside of India. Okay, we have people as far east as Singapore and as far as west as Nigeria. So welcome all to this webinar. Today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship. What do entrepreneurs do? Do they innovate? Yes, of course, they innovate. Do they start new ventures? Yes, they start new ventures. Do they make a lot of money? Of course, they make a lot of money, provided the venture is successful. But before all of this, what do they do? What they do is they actually solve problems. Problems which are there in the world, in the society. So they really solve the problems. Today, in our session, we have with us Rahul Pandey, Mr. Rahul Pandey, who would be talking about how problem solving is integral to entrepreneurship. Rahul is a strong advocate of entrepreneurship and believes that innovation can help solve human problems. He is currently engaged as the Chief Operating Officer at AUD Center of Incubation, Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Ambedkar University, Delhi. Rahul is an alum of Thunderbird School of Global Management at USA. In his previous roles as a corporate avatar, he worked with business houses like Tata and Reliance. He's been mentoring and helping passionate entrepreneurs to solve many problems in our country. Today, Rahul will take us through this session where he will be talking about problem solving by entrepreneurs. Before we begin, a few housekeeping tips, please. All attendees are requested to keep their mic on mute. You can raise your questions or raise your hand, and at an appropriate time, we would be either sharing the questions or comments with Rahul, or we may even be reaching out to you and unmuting you to ask your question in person. Thank you, Rahul, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on this session. The floor is all yours. Please start.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thanks, Professor Ravinder and Professor Nangya, for inviting me to take this opportunity to speak with so many young minds who are part of this discussion today. It's a great honor for me, obviously, to discuss about one of the finest areas, or one of the areas which I'm kind of in love with. Obviously, that's where I'm kind of working right now. My motive is to connect with entrepreneurs, help them solve real-time indigenous problems which are part of which exist in India. So it gives me immense pleasure to be here. I hope everybody is good. We have some 15 odd participants over here. Everybody is keeping safe in these tough times, being at home, lockdown. So wish them good luck. Obviously, I will touch upon a few things which you have already mentioned earlier, like entrepreneurship, then problem solving, and why problem solving is important, and few other areas related to entrepreneurship. So let me start with this. As I think most of us would agree, India has been a land of traders, businessmen. People have gone across seas, they've been trading around with masalas and a lot of other things across the globe. But entrepreneurship is different from trading, from business. So how I see is like entrepreneurship has kind of grown recently in the Indian context, and across the world as well. Obviously, Silicon Valley or USA have been pioneers for the same. But yes, in India, it has kind of recently taken over with a lot of new innovations happening to solve a lot of challenges which are existing in India. A lot of new companies, young professionals have taken up that leap in identifying those challenges and obviously solving those challenges for the users. For example, and that's where the innovations like Flipkart, Oyo, be it Ola or a lot of others, you name few of them, have happened in recent past. With the entrepreneurial ecosystem booming in India and a lot of emphasis from the government, I think it cannot be just few selective people who should start talking about entrepreneurship and innovation. It has to reach out to the community at large, and people from the community. They are students, they are old people, they are people in their in midlife. They should start thinking and taking entrepreneurship as their career. It's a huge country. There are so many challenges India is facing. With the current COVID crisis, I think everybody agree to this. We have seen what kind of challenges India has faced, whether it's a migrant problem, whether it's fund transfer, whether it's food security challenges, and you just name them. And most of these challenges we have seen in last 3 months post COVID lockdown has happened. And that's where a lot of you guys, you young entrepreneurs can see an opportunity coming up. And I think you should start investing some time in identifying those challenges and problems, and start creating innovative solutions to solve these challenges. And that's where the opportunity lies. So interestingly, this topic which was given to me, wherein the problem solving by entrepreneurs, how it will go is like, I'll be sharing, there's a presentation which I have created, and most of it is like picture. I think picture will be in your mind for a while, and that's where I thought putting those pictures in this slide. So we will I will run through this presentation. I will have couple of videos to show to you. I will also instigate you to think around, instigate you to think, so that you also come up with some thoughts, create some thoughts while this presentation is going on. So let me just share my screen right now, and obviously we will have Q&A in the end. Great. I think the screen is visible, the presentation.
Yes, it is.
Great. Awesome. So obviously, it's a buzzword which is there right now, entrepreneurship. And, shall I close my video if you guys are okay?
And let it be on. Let it be on.
Okay, fine.
No
Should not be a problem, right?
Okay. Yeah, it's not a problem, because your window gets the bulk of the screen is being taken up by the presentation.
Yeah, I have
no problem.
Yeah.
So people can see you in small.
Absolutely. So so this is like, it's a buzzword. I think everybody knows and understand about entrepreneurship, what it is, and and why do we need entrepreneurship. However, there are a lot of myths around it. That you as a young person, you cannot take entrepreneurship as the career option. There are a lot of problems which exist in the society, and there are a lot of the people have fear of failure. I cannot take that risk. I don't know what's the idea. I don't know what's the problem. So entrepreneurship has been a challenge for people. I mean, it's a mixed kind of a understanding people have. People understand it, and on the other side, they really don't understand that how do they proceed while taking entrepreneurship as their career. Most of us, students or anybody who is even working, they think job is the most secured option which is available to us. And obviously, once we graduate, when we postgraduate, we get into that secured kind of a profile and start working for somebody. Rather than, as Sir had mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship gives you a bigger opportunity. Why? Because entrepreneurship gives you an opportunity to create something of your own, to have a satisfaction that you have identified a problem, you have solved that problem. Then obviously the third thing which is very important is obviously money. So entrepreneurship will enable you to get that money as well, which you need. But there is a risk involved in this. Not all the entrepreneurs who started the journey, they succeed. Obviously, there are 85 to 90% of the times they fail. But somewhere we have to take that risk if you want to achieve something big in the life. right? So entrepreneurship, as I said earlier, we have been a land of traders. Entrepreneurship has recently come up as an exciting topic to discuss, and a lot of people are kind of taking that leap. In recent past, it has become a fashion as well. I think yes, it's good, but there have to be checks and balances made, wherein not everybody talks about just entrepreneurship, right? It cannot become a fashion. It has to be, it is a serious task. So somebody who is very serious about a particular problem, about the cause, they are passionate about something. I think these are the kind of people who can take those risks and take entrepreneurship as their career option. So if you see, as I mentioned, there are a lot of indigenous problems, and entrepreneurship gives you the opportunity to solve these indigenous problems which are existing in India. So we need young, energetic, and enthusiastic people like you who are taking part in this webinar to take that risk, identify that problem, take that risk, and then start taking entrepreneurship as their career option. So next, let's get to the entrepreneur. So obviously, when I say entrepreneurship, so it's the animal, who takes that risk, who invests his time, whatever money they have, who risk everything to set up their ventures, to solve the particular problem. That animal is known as entrepreneur. And I think that entrepreneurial ability as an entrepreneur exists in everybody, but it's just that one thought which has to run into yourself when you start thinking about challenges which you are facing on daily basis and start working towards identifying solutions for those challenges. So it's the uh, 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 first step. It's the first step which is very difficult for somebody like you to take that step and get into the shoes of an entrepreneur. Um, there are a couple of traits which are specific to entrepreneur. There are so many of them that skills which are required as an entrepreneur. But there are two very important traits which are very much for an entrepreneur, very much required for an entrepreneur. So for an entrepreneur, it's a marriage between passion and planning, and obviously execution comes into it. And why do I say that? So there are a lot of people who would say, okay, if even if you go to work, for example, even if you go to work, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you will not continue keep on doing until until certain duration time, right? So what you will do, you lose interest in this. At the end of the day, you will start questioning yourself that am I at the right place? And finally, what you will do, you might decide to leave that particular job and move somewhere else. And that this frustration, this cycle continues. But on the other side, if you're passionate about something, if you really think I'm passionate about, for example, food, for example, music, for example, the current situation which is happening for the agriculture. So if you're passionate about any of these particular areas, I think that's where you have to identify this passion which you have, which you relate to, which you believe that you can take those, convert that passion into something useful, which is just not useful for you, obviously society at large. So that identifying that particular passion and obviously translating that passion into some form of a business venture, which is a self-sustainable business venture, which gives opportunity for a lot of many other people to take part in that as maybe as workers, and then you're trying to solve a particular challenge for a community at large. So passion is one part. On the other side is the planning. So until you plan what you want to do, what you want to achieve, there is no point in identifying those passion and taking entrepreneurship as the career option. So I think you should be able to manage both the things as an entrepreneur: passion plus planning. This is one part. Second, which is very critical, which I keep on iterating with the students whenever I interact with them, that the way we approach things right now on daily basis, when we get up in the morning, we just go out and see, okay, we are moving using a metro, and there we see so many challenges, right? We see so many problems here. But what we start to do is just start living with those challenges. Rather than start just living with those challenges, I think the way you visualize such things is you have to change your lens, and that's what this picture depicts. Like, in your current form, you're looking problems as something you cannot do anything with this for those problems. You got to live with those problems, rather than having that kind of a vision set for yourself. What you got to do, you have to change the lens. What you have to start realizing that there is a lot which can be done to solve a particular challenge. And in that case, that's where I mean you have to change the lens. You have to start looking things happening around you, things happening to you, things that are happening with your with people around you from a lens which I call it as problem to solution lens. And this will help you not just for solving entrepreneurial challenges. This will help you in solving your personal challenges on daily basis. If you realize getting into an argument with your parents, with your brother, with your sister, with your siblings, right? If you're getting into an argument, and if you're not able to solve that argument, they might become very furious, and these arguments might relate to might end up some relationships. But if you see, okay, there is some problem which is happening between two people, and you try to resolve that challenge using a lens which I call as problem to solution lens, right? And I think your task will be very easy. So it is very important for an entrepreneur, and it was obviously for an individual, to start looking things with this particular lens, which is problem to solution lens. Once you start looking into it, you will realize that problems are very easy to solve. They're not very difficult. And finally, when you come up with a solution, it will be useful for you. It will be useful for others as well. Now, if I may ask you, this is a picture. I think this is from one of the metro suburbs, one of the suburbs in Mumbai. What do you see? I mean, you can see there's a lot of chaos. There are two trains. There are thousands of people on the platforms. So one way to look into it is like, I cannot do anything about it, right? But on the other side, and what happens then? You becomes one of the guys or one of the person who is part of such a huge crowd. On the other side, you can take a step back and say, okay, this is a huge problem, and how do I try to address this problem? So that's where your lens of problem to solution comes. You start looking problems, you start addressing those problems using this particular lens. This is one picture. If you look at this one, I mean, it clearly shows there is a huge crisis which is arriving, which is in front of us. In next few years, we will have a huge water crisis. Now, if you see water crisis across the world, it's not just in India, it's not just at home, it's across the world. Once you start realizing that it's a huge problem, what do? Either you sit with this or you start working towards it. So one of the things which happens is mostly with the students, or mostly with people who would who see such problem, what they say, okay, fine, it's water crisis, it's a chaos at the platform, it's a huge thing, it's a huge problem, and I might not be able to see. In this case, what happens? You start visualizing problem much bigger than what you are. Your size becomes very small, and you realize that problem is huge. It's like scaling a mountain, and I cannot do it alone. And that's where the fear of failure, that's where the thought that you get scared, that's where you don't take up that challenge, and finally what you do, you just run away from that challenge, and obviously you become one of those people who are living with that problem. So this is very common. This has most of the students whom I interact with, and most of the people whom I talk to, they see, sir, itni badi challenge hai, water crisis, food crisis, how do I solve? What do I do in terms of solving such challenges? So what I suggest is, there was a mountain which had a lot of snow on it. If you see it from far away, you would say, okay, fine, it's a huge mountain to scale. I cannot do it alone. Rather than do what? You just take that small snow which is on the mountain. Once you see that snow, you think that problem as a snowball. What happens is, like, the snowball is very small in size. and then you become larger than the snowball. So take that small bit of problem rather than solving the entire problem. You cannot solve all the problems related to hunger crisis or transportation crisis across the world. But yes, you can identify that one element which is part of that big problem at large and see if you can solve that. So here, what it depicts, when you pick up that snowball, what happens, which is a small problem of the or I would say a subset of the bigger problem, you become larger than that particular problem. And that's when you start realizing, yes, this is what I can solve. This is what I can, this problem is identified. This problem is now I will be able to solve with some innovative ideas and solutions. And that's where what happens, you start loving that problem, and obviously you start playing with that. And that's how, the snowball comes into picture. And that's where you start running towards it rather than running away from it. So this is what, a difference between identifying a big problem and a subset of it, so that you start realizing that, yes, you can solve that particular problem. Another thing which I would like to touch upon today is there are a few challenges with the entrepreneurs. First is they always try to jump onto the ideas. Now, if I ask you today, or ask anybody, okay, what's your idea? So everybody will say, sir, I have this idea to solve this particular problem. Rather than what they, so they straight away jump onto the ideas which have been floating around in their head. So I just say, just stop. You don't have to work on the ideas immediately. There are tens of ideas to solve a particular challenge, yes. But before that, even before you get into the ideation part, there is one important thing which you should understand. So I just stop them and just listen to me. The second element is like people, they are in love with their ideas. You cannot be in love with your ideas. If you are a passionate entrepreneur, if you want to succeed in your life, you cannot love your idea, because there will be changes. There will be changes in your idea. There will be changes in the way you execute your ideas. There will be changes in the product and services which you design to solve a particular challenge, right? So you cannot just love your idea. Okay, fine, this is my idea. I would like to do or solve a particular challenge in this way, and I cannot change beyond it. No, that's not the reality, and that's not how you should work. Third point, which most of us do, is like we start relying on the secondary data which is available on internet and a lot of other sources. Rather than our approach should be, we should be very focused while identifying challenges, when working for the customers, working for somebody whom you are trying to solve the problem. So rather than just relying on the secondary data available to create some ideas to identify the particular challenge, you should be part of the journey of that particular element, or I would say customer, or somebody whom you're trying to solve the problem. Fourth thing, which is very common in young generation, obviously we are looking for immediate gratifications, and that this also becomes one of the very common hindrance in people when they don't take entrepreneurship as their career option. They just rely on getting into a job, buying a new mobile phone, after some time buying a house or a car. So immediate gratification is also hindering entrepreneurs or young minds to take entrepreneurship as a career. So if you really have to take entrepreneurship as a career, I think you should start working towards resolving these things which are put up over here. So as I mentioned in this slide, what most of the people do, they jump to the ideas rather than what I tell them. You start with identifying the problems rather than the solution or the idea. Solution or the idea come into the next stage. First, you got to identify a problem. You got to relate to that particular problem. You have to understand that particular problem, refine that, reframe that problem, and then finally, using different tools and techniques, you will start working on ideation or creating solutions for that particular challenge. So it's very important for anybody who would like to take entrepreneurship as a career to understand the problem first rather than jumping to the solution or the ideas. This is another this this is the problem journey. This is how I describe this. There are ways using which you can identify and then you can validate and then you can reframe the problem. So now if I ask you, if you can take 1 minute time, and I would expect a couple of people to reply post this 1 minute. One of the challenge which most of the students face or most of the people face, that they say, sir, मेरे को problems पता ही नहीं चलती हैं. I don't know what kind of problems exist. So if I just tell you, to write, take a piece of paper and just write that morning when you get up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., whichever time, and then until the time you go to the bed, can you just write down few of the problems which you see you are facing on daily basis, you see your parents are facing or somebody around you is facing. So if you can take 1 minute time and write down few of those challenges, and then if couple of you can share with me.
All right. Those who are doing this, you are welcome to put your problem, what you think of, in the Q&A box. You may please type your problem, what you have identified.
So I hope everybody understands, right? So for example, morning when you get up at 7 a.m. and until you go to bed at 10 p.m., you do a lot of things. You travel for work, you travel for college, you eat food, you take break, you do a lot of other stuff. So what are the challenges which you're facing? What are the problems you see around you? What are the problems you see you are facing? What are the problems others are facing around you? If you can write few of them, it will be great. And you can share over here. $30 maybe.
While we are waiting for others to write, I would just want to say, we have started getting these. So we have Abhi Kumar who's saying, one of these days I have feeling a lot of forms. I've been filling a lot of forms for colleges and jobs. The process of form filling is a very long one. Applying for college admissions, filling the forms is a long process. An anonymous attendee, the problem being currently of migrant workers, according to I think that's a problem. And as you said, that's like the problem that you had shown on the picture.
Absolutely.
A lot of people on the railway platform. Then there's one more. He said, I find a problem in agricultural sector, healthcare sector, education sector, energy sector, not proper recycling of products is also a huge problem. Cleaning vegetables.
I know. Just a second. So I know there are a lot of challenges in every sector, obviously. But what I'm trying to understand over here is like, how do you identify a challenge? How do you see that there is a challenge? So I would expect if you can relate to challenges, if you can identify challenges which you are facing on daily basis, for example.
I think this one is interesting. Yeah, this is one interesting one from Chitrankar. He's saying cleaning vegetables is not an easy task. I think that's a very personal problem.
Absolutely.
And very relevant today, where we're doing a lot of work at home. And the students are pitching in with their family in the work.
Correct.
I think that's a very interesting one.
Anybody else has anything? Okay, yeah.
Electricity crisis. Arnav who is saying, unable to keep track of time during the lockdown. A lot of people, myself included, sometimes say the day has just passed. I think that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, interesting. Few of the challenges obviously put over. Few of the problems which you have identified over here are really interesting. For example, if you take the simplest one, cleaning vegetables is not an easy task. So just imagine you realize this now, when you started thinking about it. But on the other side, what you will do every day, you get up, when you while before you cook, you start cleaning your vegetables. So is it a challenge worth solving? So similarly, the way you identify these challenges, you don't need a rocket science. You don't need a PhD degree in something, in some course wherein you got to identify these challenges. You have to look around yourself, and that's where this this slide wherein I had put it up. Just a second. Yeah. So that's where this comes in. You have to look around yourself. You have to observe people around you. You have to understand the processes. Now, one of the interesting thing which I suggest, and obviously this comes up in a conversation whenever I'm having with people who are working in this domain, is like, if you're passionate about agriculture, I would advise you intern with some organization who is working in the agriculture space while studying. You intern, you find those people who are doing some incredible work in this space, and when you intern with them, you ask for a particular task, obviously, and if you're lucky enough, you get that particular task, you will be astonished to know, when you map a particular process which these organizations might be following for ages now, you would see there are a lot of pain points arising in that particular processes for the users which are following those processes. So that way, when you try to understand the processes of the organizations whom you're working for, you would realize there are a lot of challenges which these guys are facing. So list out those problems. So list out the problem which you are facing, as you have already listed out while discussion over here. So washing of vegetables. Is there a way we can solve such kind of problems? So identifying a problem is not a big task. So once you identify those challenges, somebody said like agriculture. I know agriculture. So when you say agriculture crisis or migrant crisis, it's like a mountain. So when you just think about it and just ponder around it, you will say, okay, fine, no, I cannot solve this challenge. No, identify a small portion, small part of that challenge, subset of that particular big challenge, and then see if you can try to solve that challenge. So another next part, when we work on problem journey, obviously first is identifying a problem. Now, how do I validate a problem? Now, this is very interesting. Now, somebody said like washing vegetables. This could be a problem for you, but is it a problem worth solving, which would have an effect in 1,000 people, life of 1,000 people, which will create a value for them, and in turn, are people ready to pay for it? Because that's where your venture will come into picture. Your business will come into picture. People have to pay for the problem. People have to understand, that you're solving a very challenging problem which they cannot do it themselves. Now, for example, if I say, what was the problem which was solved by Swiggy? People would like to eat outside. Yes, they like outside food. They are bored of eating at home. They like outside food. Most of the times they are lazy to go out and eating in restaurants. So what do they do? In order to have outside food at home, Swiggy created an app wherein they're connecting hotel restaurants with the users or with the consumers at home, and in turn they are taking some commission out of it. So they identified a challenge wherein they got into the emotional context of that particular people. What they're trying to achieve, they're trying to achieve having food at the convenience being at home. This is the real challenge which they're trying to solve. Through what? By creating an app. So it is very important to identify that problem and then get into the validation. So how do you validate these challenges? Now, if you say, I have a particular problem, I am not getting food when I go to college every day, I skip my breakfast. How many of the students are skipping breakfast? If there are 90%, 80 to 85% of the students who are skipping this breakfast in the morning, I think there's a huge problem which exists. People not getting nutrition food, they might not get proper diet, and obviously finally it might impact their health, and so on and so forth. So how do you validate? If you think this is the problem which I have identified, let me just check with a lot of other people around myself. Are they also facing a similar issue? So for example, somebody just said, washing vegetables. If you are facing this problem, just check with your mom. Is she also facing a similar challenge? Just check with your father. Is he facing a similar challenge? Then ask few of your friends. So start interviewing people. That's how you validate. Okay, fine. It's not just me. There are 10 others who are following similar challenges. And that's one of the way to validate. Next way to validate is like observe prospects performing jobs. Next time when you are, when your mom is washing your vegetables, you just stand beside her and just see what kind of emotions are going through her head. Is she making faces? Is she annoyed? Is she annoyed with the quality of the vegetables? Is she annoyed because they're not they don't look fresh, so she has to clean it? She's worried about the pesticides being used in the fruits. That's why you have to put it on water. So just observe people performing those particular tasks and just note down what kind of emotions they are going through. And you would realize that it's not the problem with you. Even a lot of people who are performing such tasks, they are facing such challenges. Third point is more of emotional mapping, wherein identify the pain points, the frustration which these guys are getting into. And if they are getting frustrated of a particular problem, just map it out, just write it out. And what kind of frustration is getting into their head? Are they worried about emotional? When I say emotional mapping, are they worried about, why are they cleaning? Are they worried about the health of the child? Are they worried about their own health? They're worried about their somebody who is eating their food. So health is an emotional thing for somebody. So are they worried about that particular? What are they worried about? Sorry, what are they frustrated about? So note down that emotional thing which they are getting into while they are washing their particular vegetable. So write down those things and then just see, and then you will realize there are tens of hundreds of other people who are facing similar problem. And if that's the case, it means the problem which you have identified, you have kind of validated that. Next, obviously, when I talk about problem to solution lens, solution comes in the end, right? What happens is like even working on a problem, what you have to do, you start with a very open-ended thing. Right now you said the washing of vegetables, but what is that particular problem what is that particular thing which is frustrating them, which the particular user is worried about? It's the health of that, of the people who are consuming that particular vegetable or fruits in the family your mom is worried about, right? So clearly, when you start with an open end, you have to kind of come to a point wherein you start reframing your particular problem. You started off with a bigger one, wherein you say washing of vegetables is a challenge, yes, but when you further conclude towards articulating the problem, you say washing is a challenge, yes, but health is a bigger concern. And then you start realizing that your problem definition has changed. The problem which you initially thought was something else, and now it has converged to something else. Your definition will change. So get into the reframing the problem part to clearly articulate a particular problem, so that it doesn't lead to an ambiguity. For example, when you're solving a challenge, you have to understand that one problem at a time. There could be tens of problems associated with something you have identified, but if you start solving solution, if you start solving if you start finding solutions to those tens of problems, you will get lost and you will not be able to come up with a very good innovative solution for that challenge. So when you start identifying solutions, even before that, you have to reframe the problem so that it doesn't lead to an ambiguous situation. And how do you do that? There are multiple tools available, but we frequently use something called design thinking. I don't know if you've heard of it. So there is something called design thinking tool which we use, which helps you in reframing the problem, which using something called creating a point of view and creating a how might we question. Maybe in your future you might go through such exercises, and sir can help you out in going through such exercises. So reframing the problem so that you come up, so that there is no ambiguity left, and then you start working towards identifying a solution for that particular challenge. This is very crucial. Again, now let's look into this slide. Now on the left side, leftmost is problems. There are tens of problems which I was just talking about, and then you move towards identify one problem. This problem is the one which you yourself relate to, which you are passionate about, and finally say, fine, I have reframed this challenge, and finally come up with solution. And I think you guys would agree that there are multiple solutions to a particular problem, right? I mean, going to, if you want to go from Delhi to a destination place, or one of your favorite places, for example, you want to go to Goa, right? So there are multiple ways. The problem is you want to travel. How do I travel? I can travel through car. I can travel through train. I can travel by air, right? So solutions are multiple. Traveling by car is a solution. Traveling by train is a solution. Traveling by air is a solution. Now you have to start validating these solutions as well. So once you have the solutions, you prototype these solutions and test those solutions with the users for whom you're solving these challenges. Out of these solutions, you have to identify one solution. Okay, fine. This is the most innovative one. This is the one which will solve the need of the user at the most appropriately. And then what is next? There's a question mark which I have kept over there. The most important thing which an entrepreneur or a problem solver has to do is execution. Without execution, your problem will not be worth even addressing it, or even understanding it, or challenging it, right? So execution is the most important, is one of the very key important thing which you guys have to do. I think in terms of discussion, this is what I had. I will show you a small video right now, and then I will raise a couple of questions over here. You can again answer in the similar fashion. I think you will be able to listen to this video as well. Yes. So I'll just play and just listen to this, and then let's discuss. Is it audible?
Yes, it's fine. We can all hear it.
So anybody has any thoughts around this video, this problem which was mentioned over here? You can just write in your chat, and let's discuss for 1 minute or two. What happened? What exactly was happening? How did they identify the problem? What was the challenge they were solving? They were just they talked about water crisis across the world, but at the end of the day, they solve this problem for a particular village. So what are the thoughts which are going in your head right now? You can share a few.
We can use the Q&A box to write your comments, please. While people are writing, I mean, clearly this is something which is very, very ingenious and possibly would qualify to be frugal, not asking for too much money to be spent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think something very practical, very useful, and low cost.
Absolutely. So that's where such touched upon an interesting point. That it has to be a frugal innovation to at least to start with. We don't have to spend some lakhs and crores of rupees to just come up with the idea. If you're lucky enough to have a prototype which is accepted in the market, then obviously there will be investors who will be ready to invest in your business, and then you can maybe modify your product and make it reach out to a larger number of audience. Basic innovation happens on the ground, and they have to be very frugal, very cheap, and this story completely shows that.
Very interesting. One observation has come. I think, as shown in the video, it's only the women and children who are carrying the heavy buckets. Why aren't the men engaged in the issue?
See, and one problem which you have immediately identified. So that's what, that's the power of observation.
Right.
So absolutely, why aren't women, only women and children are engaged, or not the men? And that's typical to any society, across the world. It's the women who takes care of the household chores. So she is the one who is responsible for managing everything, and that this is also coming from. They saw carrying water is a huge problem for them, and it also leads to health consequences. Yes, they just solved the carrying water problem by investing water. Very good. So
what is also interesting is that instead of making a trolley which has wheels in which you keep the buckets, they have come up with something which is the bucket itself, or the water container itself, which is rolling.
Absolutely. So it's like again, it's a frugal thing. It becomes cheaper for people to buy, to roll maybe, and then take it from one end to other end. So that's where the innovative heads have come in, because men are out on their jobs to earn living. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Just 30 seconds more. Something has come up.
Yes, there
Trolley tires get stuck on uneven
I think that's a very good reason why not trolleys. The uneven terrain won't help.
Absolutely.
Trolleys.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Abhi. Very
I
nice
didn't think about it. Yeah. Can we say that complex problem may have the simplest solution? Absolutely. So that's what the problem is huge. It's complex, but they started thinking of it very small, and that's where this simplest solutions comes in. Now, if you start thinking, मेरे को सारी problem solve करनी है दुनिया की water crisis related, no, it's not gonna happen. So think small, identify that small, take that small step in identify the challenge, and then finally get into those gears of creating the solutions. So let's get into the next slide. I think that will be the second last one. So yes, there has to be a shift, I think, from I would expect, and that is what I urge people, that you call yourself entrepreneurs. Yes, absolutely. But I think it's good that you start calling yourself as problem solvers. So as problem solvers, what you have to do, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have a conviction that yes, the problem which you have identified, you will be able to solve. Then take that first step to identify the problem you relate to. It's very important to work on a problem which you relate to yourself. वही मैं जो पहले बताया, you might get bored of this. You might start looking for something else as soon as one hindrance come in your way. So you will lose track, you will lose focus, and start looking for something else. But if you're passionate about something, I think that craziness will drive you to take that one extra step, take that one hardship to solve that challenge. Then plan your actions with lots of scope to make changes. As I mentioned earlier, planning is important. However, as you plan, but as an entrepreneur, when you start working on planning, and once you start executing that plan, the circumstances changes. You got to make those small pivot. You have to pivot. You have to make those small changes in your plan so that you start make changes. So that you start surviving. Yes, that's one. Second, you customize, or you start pivoting your product and services as per the need of the customer, as and when they ask for. So it is very important for you to make those changes as and when required. Second last point, quickly test your assumptions, test incremental changes and repeat. So whenever you're making a few assumptions, or whenever you're making few changes in your product or services or processes which you are designing, which you are innovating, I think it's very quick for you to take a feedback from people whom you're designing it for. So create that prototype, take that feedback, and whatever changes you make in your product or services and process, you take that feedback, and the feedback should be imbibed in your processes and product and services. and then finally keep on repeating it until you come up with a solution which is very much useful for the user who is to use them. Then obviously very quick to unlearn and learn again. This is very critical for an entrepreneur. You got to unlearn, and then you have to learn again you have to do a fresh start. So you have to be very innovative in terms of obviously, as I said, you have to unlearn and learn again. You have to keep on changing your the way you are doing things, and then finally you have to correct them, and finally make those changes and move on with the next thing. So this is what I have as a in the presentation, and obviously now I can be open for Q&A. So this is what I have.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Rahul. The floor is open for people to ask questions.
Sure.
Rahul, one of the things that I want to kind of ask you to speak a little bit more is when you said love the idea. I mean, do not love the idea.
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And if possible, can you share an example? Highlight what you want to communicate.
Absolutely. So when I said you don't have to love your idea, I meant like people come with a preconceived notion that first thing is like they're not clear about the problem which they're trying to solve. They have just an idea which they think might solve a particular challenge, and they start keep on iterating to find this is what it is. This is the only idea which will be able to solve this challenge. For example, I'll give you an instance. One of our startups, this is from my incubation center, one of our startups, she had this idea of helping small farmers in remote villages of Gujarat to start generating some secondary source of income, so that their income levels can increase. So she had an idea that these farmers will be producing, or I will be helping these farmers to produce vermicompost, and then these farmers can buy vermicompost and obviously resell it into the market. So this is how he conceptualized this whole business model, this whole idea. But when she went onto the ground, she realized that small farmers, she cannot make these small farmers to buy this vermicompost, because they don't have access to the market, so they cannot resell that. In turn, what she has to do is like make these small farmers as business partners, make them enable them to make that vermicompost, and then finally sell that vermicompost herself to the bigger farmers or other companies into the market. She was so reluctant to change her business model. She was so reluctant to change her idea that these small farmers can also buy that produce, that for first 6 months she didn't listen to us. Her revenue were always in the negatives, and finally she had to tweak her business model. So that's what I meant. Like, you got to unlearn, you got to learn. You have to keep on changing your you have to be flexible enough to accept what is being told to you. You cannot be very rigid in what you have thought of just by reading few of these journals, few of these reports which are available on the internet. And that's where I emphasized on secondary data. So a lot of these challenges comes in when we don't put in ourselves into the shoes of people whom we are trying to solve their challenges. So empathizing with the people is very important. So if you love your idea, it means you have not empathized with the real user.
Yeah, so you need to solve problems for others, not just for yourself. There's a very interesting question which says, from your life, can you state an example? From your life, can you state an example of how problem solution lens helped you out? So in your own life, how did you solve a problem using a problem solution lens?
Absolutely. So I'll take I've been an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur for almost 2 to 3 years before I moved to this space as a full-time employee. And right now also I keep on pondering, what could be the next step for me. So one of the things as an entrepreneur, what I did, I created a branded retail outlet in Bangalore, of serving healthy beverages under a branded outlet. So the whole idea was, so I drink a lot of, I consume juices. You know, I like consuming juices and healthy beverages. Right? So when I used to go out, I found that there are one or two shops in my in my market who would give me such fresh made juices or other healthy beverages. And I realized they will give us, but I don't know what's the quality behind it, what's the fruit quality, and how are they making those juices, what kind of mechanism they're using. Are they using cold pressed juices, are they using mixers, or what? So I started pondering what is to be done. Is there a way we can kind of solve these challenges? Because there are tens of people like me, hundreds of people like me, who would like to consume fresh juices in the morning, who would like to consume other healthy beverages in the morning. So rather than just sitting on that and pondering around कि हाँ ये तो ऐसा ही है, ऐसा ही रहेगा, मेरे को ऐसे ही consume करना है. No, what I did, me and one of my friends, we kind of conceptualized this idea. Let's take this idea to a next level wherein we have understood the problem, we have come up with a solution. Let's create a branded outlet, retail outlet, and wherein which will be serving healthy, fresh made beverages to the customers as per the requirements, customized beverages. So that's where we looked into that problem and finally come up with a solution, rather than just pondering around कि ये तो ऐसा ही है, ऐसे ही रहेगा. And there are few others. I can kind of take up these maybe offline as well.
Sure. A very interesting point being made by Arnav. He's saying that in one of your slides, you mentioned a second step, validating your problem.
Sure.
By saying, why not try the counter approach? Try to invalidate your problem. And he's saying that because while trying to validate our problem, we may have a selective bias and only look at data or observation that validates the problem. However, if you do everything trying to invalidate your problem, then you cannot invalidate the problem, then it really is valid. So what do you think? Instead of validating, why don't you make an attempt to invalidate your problem? And if you cannot invalidate, then continue with it.
It is a little confusing for me, but I'll try to give it a shot. So when he's saying that invalidate your problem, this is because while trying to validate our problem, we may have a selective bias and only look at data observations that validates the problem. See, I think that's the smartness of an entrepreneur comes in. If you are a smart entrepreneur, you might not just have that bias and look into the data and observations that just validates your problem. If you're a smart entrepreneur and trying to solve a problem for somebody, it will be good for you to look at all the options available, all the data sources which negates your problem, and there will be others which will kind of which will help you say, okay, this is the validating point. So I think it's up to the individual to choose which data to go for. But I think as a smart entrepreneur, as I would suggest, I think you should look into all the aspects and then finally say if it's validating or it's invalidating. And this is how I would like to respond.
Great, thanks. And there's another one saying, I see my idea already being implemented. How not to be disappointed? So you have this is by anonymous attendee. That's a very strange one.
I see my idea already being implemented. How not to be disappointed?
So this is, I think, a very relevant thing. People are always fearful that somebody would go ahead of them and implement what they are planning to do.
Yeah, so that's what. So this is very interesting. I mean, we did a small talk with the students at AOD, and they said like, sir, मेरा idea जो मैं सोचता हूँ वो already है. Now what do I do? So I said like, इसलिए वो innovation की ज़रूरत है कि आप कुछ दूसरी तरीके से करने की सोचें. Now, for example, if you try to create another Paytm today, would it be successful? No, because there are Paytm, there is PayPal, there is Bheem, there is XYZ. There are some 10 number of companies which have come up solving a similar kind of a challenge, right? So you have to be very innovative with the guidance of the mentors and a lot of other people to create that interesting solution which can solve a particular challenge. Another thing which I always suggest, like if you are 1, 2, 3, 4 to solve a particular challenge in the market, it's worth taking that risk of implementing that idea. Otherwise, there is no point in getting into that, being the 5th or 6th one to implement a particular idea or solving a particular challenge. So find something else which really motivates you, which really pushes you to take that step and try to solve that challenge. So that's how I would put it.
So there's one comment from Abhi. Abhi says, if we love the idea too much, then if someone provides some criticism, even if it's a creative criticism, then instead of taking the creative criticism, we start defending the idea.
Absolutely.
And he's saying that's happened to me. So Abhi, I think that's a very, very honest admission.
Absolutely.
And would be helpful for others also. Thank you so much. We
And
have
that's where,
another.
and that's when, sorry to interrupt, sir. And that's where I said, as an entrepreneur, you have to be very open-minded. You have to be very flexible enough to accept, what people are saying. Because mentors, if, for example, a lot of these, I mean, we assign mentors to our innovators, right? Our startups. So mentors have toiled hard on the ground, and that's where their experience comes into picture when they are suggesting you something. And if they're suggesting you something, it means you got to listen to them.
There's one more comment
Yes,
from Nirupma. She's saying, I started my own boutique, a small business outlet, after attending entrepreneurship program in the year 2011. It has completed 10 years. I never faced loss, but had to struggle initially to make it work.
absolutely.
So is that something unique or is something very truly the journey of most entrepreneurs?
I think I agree to this. You initially it will be very tough for somebody to survive, for any idea, for any business, for any startup to survive. See, what happens is, like, when we start working on our idea, when we create a product or a service, the first 2 to 3 customers are very easy to get. And there will be people in your circle. Your mentors can help you identifying those customers. They can push hard your product and they can vouch for you. But it's the 4th and the 5th customer which really tells you, is your product worth the value which you're trying to create, the value which they are seeking for. So initially it is very tough, but you got to sustain your business. You got to tweak around your product and services and processes. And if you can sustain yourself for a while, it will be easier for you to sustain it in the long run. And that's where a lot of these startups are facing challenges in this current scenario, COVID crisis. They're not able to sustain themselves because cash flow is important. They don't have cash flows. They are not able to sustain themselves. They are closing their businesses. So cash flow becomes very pertinent. Initial struggles will be there if you're not managing your cash flows properly. But yes, once you have some 10 or 15 odd customers in your kitty, it will be easier for you to manage your cash flows and help your business flourish.
Yeah, and Nirupma just added on one more comment. She's saying, I had left job in between and this business kept me going. So it's a great thing to start. I think so. She's really appreciative of her having become that. One very interesting thing is about the TV shows. She's saying, what role do you think TV shows, etc., on startup have on encouraging the youth to get involved in entrepreneurship? He's referring to shows like TV, Picture, Silicon Valley, or Shark Tank. What role does these kind of TV shows play? What do you think?
Obviously they are informative. This is how I would like to put it. Like, they give you information about what a VC fund or an angel investor is looking for. So they give you an insight around it. Second, they will help you in preparing yourself in how to pitch when you reach out to such guys in the market. Third is, obviously, they will help you understand, negotiate with these vultures. I call them ventures rather than venture capitalists. They are vulture capitalists. So they will tell you, and it will help you in negotiating. Learn how to negotiate with these guys on the spot, because these decisions are made very quick. So I would say you should take them as an opportunity to learn something of it, rather than anything else. So that's where it stands. It's good to keep watching such programs.
We are 5 minutes past 12, so I'll take the last question and then we will wrap up. The last question: do you think startups try to include technology like AI in their product so that it attracts VC, even if it's not necessary?
See, it's a tricky question, and why I say that, because startups or innovators try to put in their thoughts around where money is. So a lot of these VCs are excited about new technologies, and that's where most of the funding is happening. So yes, people try to push themselves to use this technology, but I would rather say don't use technology if it is not really required, because it is expensive as well, right? Now, for example, see, I come the currently where I'm working right now in Ambedkar University, social innovation is happening, right? Social entrepreneurship. So India needs a lot of social entrepreneurs. If I bring that context into the discussion right now, we need a lot of social entrepreneurs, and social entrepreneurship doesn't require technology intervention at large. For them, for such kind of entrepreneurship, technology becomes an enabler. So I think use technology how much is required, not to an extreme, which will end up saying ki you're very much dependent on it. So yes, people startups do that because it's a fancy thing. If you use these words AI, ML, yes, it will attract a lot of funding for you. But if you have a robust business model, I think it will make sense and you can sustain your businesses. But there is a other way to look into technology as just an enabler for your business. So keep that option open as well.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for your time
Great.
and sharing such interesting things. And clearly, the message out from today's discussion is look for the problem, really be clear about the problem, solve the problems, and then rest all will follow through. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, sir.
I hope attendees had a good time and it was worth the while for them to have been with us on this session. Just to remind you, next week again on Friday, we're going to have this session of Friday forenoon with entrepreneur. Next week, we will going to have a lady entrepreneur by name of Ananya Chandra, who is working with V2 at Singapore. Look forward to you joining with us again next week. Till then, please be safe. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye, sir. Take care.